Well, an interesting announcement in the last week, the government response to school lunches. There was a concern that school lunches might be scrapped, but David Seymour to the rescue. He's come back with, an increase, in fact, in the amount of school lunches that will be made available. But is this going to be doing the children any good? I'm not sure if you've seen the images in other media, but bringing in the experts on this one, nutritionist and columnist for The Listener, Jennifer Bowden, joining me on the program. Jennifer, kia ora, thanks for your time today.
Kia ora, Andrew.
Let's start with the basics. Obviously, nutrition and having school lunches is good for kids. It's it's an educational essential, really. It's as important as the old school HB pencil when it comes to learning. Kids that are hungry aren't going to be learning. We need to have something in this space.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think remembering what the key objective of these school lunches was, which is to help provide a solution for food insecurity. So these children belong to families or they're in households where they don't have secure and regular access to food. And that's the issue we're trying to resolve. But the question is, are we resolving it appropriately?
Well, exactly. And there's that balance, I think, and any parent will relate to this. Yes, we want to get nutritional food into our children, but we also want to serve them something that they will eat. It's that balance between, is it tasty, is it good for them? We can get both, but not necessarily on $3 a portion. You've had a look at some of what the government is offering. Certainly when you read down the menu, I mean, they've got a Mexican dish, we've got lasagna, we've got butter chicken. They all sound tasty, but if I was only paying $3 for a butter chicken, I'd have pretty low expectations, Jennifer.
Yes, I think I'd agree with you there, Andrew. And I saw the videos online of the presentation, the media presentation that they did. I looked at the ingredients list of what I could see flashing across. I screenshotted it just to see what the ingredients list was like. And I mean, it is clear that obviously it is they contain ultra processed type foods, which are the things that we suggest people limit because they're associated with negative health effects. But on the other hand, how many of us parents are feeding our kids that do food like that falls into that category in our homes by choice anyway, because, we're constantly trying to compromise, aren't we, as you said, with children, between what we would ideally like them to eat, but what they will eat. So the same is going to occur with the school lunches, isn't it? I imagine that they don't want to spend $150 or $200 million for school lunches that will get thrown in the rubbish.
Yeah, and that is the compromise. I know some other commentators have said, hey, where are the vegetables in this? Well, hey, as for the kids that grew up in my household, if we wanted them to eat vegetables, we'd puree them and hide them in the mince. That actually that there's more than nutrition just to saying, hey, here's a salad for kids to eat.
Yes. Yeah, I did see, for example, I haven't been able to see all of the ingredients for all of the menus, but for example, the rissoles that they're providing, they do have, looks like they've got onion and carrot and spinach actually in the meatballs. So there is something there. So is that good? Yes, that's good. Could they do better? Yes, they could do better. But I mean, I think the key thing with when we're providing solutions to food insecurity is that we want the food physically available to them and it needs to be regularly available. So it needs to be that the lunches are regularly available. Children need to know that every day they're going to have that lunch provided to them, that it's a stable supply. It does also need to sort of meet their cultural needs too. So, you wouldn't provide, ideally, you wouldn't be providing meals to people that's not something they would ordinarily eat. So it's nice to see they have got that variety on the menu that hopefully will cater to different ethnic groups. But, the goal is always, the World Health Organization would say, be for the food to be nutritious. So, yes, on that box, are we ticking it? Well, yes. I mean, it's grey, isn't it? It's not a black and white. Yes, absolutely. It's not an ideal solution, but it is part way there. So I personally was just really pleased to see that the school lunches weren't scrapped altogether, because for the children that don't have a lunch, this will make a difference.
And I suppose not just not just saying, hey, we're not scrapping it, but there'll be more people, I understand, that will have access to school lunches. You said it's a bit of a grey area. Some of the items on the menu did look a bit grey, or at least beige. Not
Yeah.
not exactly eat the rainbow in that regard. I suppose the other aspect of this, if we're going to have mass-produced meals, then we can expect to have some of those shortcuts, some of those preservatives and things in the meals, because I suppose part of this being sustainable is also for there to be less waste, that these are the sorts of things that can be kept in the fridge or kept in the freezer and then used as they need to, whereas if it's all fresh fruit and vegetables, if it's not eaten, it goes into landfill, and that's less than ideal as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And obviously they're going for what they think, as you say, what's going to be a hit with the kids, because we want them to be eating, because we need them to be doing that learning. If we're going to break out of that cycle of food insecurity and poverty and lack of education, and it just repeats itself, we're trying to help these children to be able to learn, isn't it? So filling their stomachs is an effective way to step towards that.
Yes, and hey, if they can have a decent meal at lunchtime, well, have something in their bellies at lunchtime, and it's probably, I don't know, looking at the ingredients list, it's about as good for us as the average kiwi pie. Jennifer, would that be a good analogy?
Yeah, I would really hope that it would be that, or at least that, or better. But I do remember actually talking to, it was a children's charity that was providing free school lunches into schools, and as they got funding, this was prior to what we have now with the government providing it, they were doing it. And I remember the lady who ran this organisation saying to me, when they had gone to a new school in South Auckland, just as an example, and she had rung the principal the next day to see how the kids, whether they'd eaten the lunches and whether they'd enjoyed the lunches. And the principal said to her, oh, well, a lot of the kids didn't actually eat the food. And she thought, oh my gosh, oh no, why, what, they didn't like the food? And the principal said, oh no, they're not used to being given food, so they saved it because they might need it tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they were like, thank you for the gift of the lunch, but they just hung on to it and put it in their pocket and saved it until they were, not just hungry, but super, super hungry. This is the kind of situation we're dealing with. And to be able to have these kids become confident enough that they will get a lunch every day when they go to school, probably, hopefully also encourages them to turn up to school as well, because they know they're going to be fed, and then they will learn while they're there.
And as you say, that food insecurity, they're not knowing whether or not, hey, I better save this because there may not be a school lunch tomorrow. If it's regular, okay, may not be to the highest Michelin standards, but actually it will be food of some value to their system. And I understand it's not just the hot meals, that there's going to be fruit and yogurt and muesli bars and those sorts of things available as well. So a little bit of balance in that regard. Would you eat it, Jennifer? I mean, not on the regular, not on the daily, but if you're in the situation where your kids were going to a school and that was on the menu, would you say, oh, I don't need to make their lunches anymore? They can just eat what's happening at the school? Or would you say, no, actually, I'd prefer a higher nutritional standard for my children?
Well, I don't think my kids aspire to that higher nutritional standard, to be honest. They probably say they'd rather take those meals than the things that I would make for them. So there's that. But, I mean, I think also we have to be careful. I want the government to aspire to more than this. I want us to be able to do better than this. But also on the same hand, I don't want to shame families that this is the lunches that their children are being given, and that somehow it's less than what the rest of us are having.
Exactly.
Because I think the reality is a lot of children eat lunches. They won't necessarily be meatballs, but a lot of children do have muesli bars and sugar sweetened fruit yogurts, and they might have a sandwich with jam in it. Well, where's their protein? Where's their vegetables in their lunch? But so I guess it's a difficult topic.
It is a difficult topic, and I love the point that you make, actually, that this in some ways does restore a little bit of mana, a little bit of dignity to the kids, to their families as well, to say, hey, I can send my kids to school knowing that they'll get an education and they'll get some good food to eat on a regular basis. So some perhaps good being done in this space. Thank you for the work that you do, Jennifer. Thanks very much for being on the program today.
Great. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.